Hey guys, we're back and we've got two viewers uh, here already. Maybe I don't know if that's us, Justin, or if there's actually somebody watching. But welcome
I'm
to
not
week 5, 6 of South Texas Football Unlimited's high school football webcast, podcast, whatever. There he is, David Kokoda. How you doing, David?
sure.
The Coastal Bend's first high school football podcast slash webcast. Don't forget that. Some of
OG.
the things we've been out of this game for so long, and some of you new guys that are following us and we haven't been on the pod thing in a while. We are, and we pride ourselves of being a non-fact checking podcast. Okay, so if we're getting a lot of stuff wrong, it's because we're not checking our facts. That's the way we roll. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just how it is.
Hey, you know what
Uh
it is? You know what it is? They're usually used to us being like 5 to 10 minutes late. That's what it is.
I know,
Period.
and look, we are on time today. You know why? It's because Mercury's in retrograde. That's why I was reading about that today. Because I've been so tired, not wanting to go to the gym and stuff. And my wife Rebecca was telling me that she's like, well, Mercury's in retrograde, and I was like, what does that mean? I'm not an astronaut, so this morning in the van, I was looking it up, and sure enough, it's a phenomenon. If any of you guys are astronomers or anything and want to speak on Mercury being in retrograde, I think we got a couple more weeks on it, but yeah, so that's going on right now. So that's what I'm going to blame my lack of motivation going to the gym
That's
for is
100% then.
yeah.
100.
A couple things we want to touch on before we start the show this week. We started that breast cancer T-shirt fundraiser with a $500 goal to donate to the American Cancer Society's Making Strides Against Cancer, and thanks to a lot of you guys, we made that goal and surpassed it. We wanted a $500 goal, and we uh, we got 600. So we're going to be donating $600. We placed the order for the shirts yesterday. So hopefully they will be here that first week of October. So you should be seeing them in your mail sometime. Hopefully that first week of October, late that first week of October. So again, thank you
And
guys. Go ahead, Justin.
now, and don't forget to if you did miss out on the shirts, like I know it was a little pricey, right? Sometimes $25, and people don't want to let go of that real quick. Me and my wife went ahead and bought a bunch of bands on us that whatever we do sell, we're not pushing them super hard, but what we do sell, that's going to get tacked onto the $600 as well. It's kind of like a Live Strong band. It's bright pink, says South Texas Football Unlimited with a hashtag 1 5. They're pretty cool. Dalton kid sizes. I know a lot of the football players in the Coastal Bend wear them. Coaches that usually have them on, and I've always worn one of those little Livestrong bands myself. So I thought it was kind of a neat little thing to add into that, straight out of our own pocket. But anything sold in that will be tacked onto the shirts, and it's $3 one band, $2 or $5 for two bands, and those can be shipped as well on the house. So you can hit us up if you would like one of those as well.
Yeah. So again, guys, thank you. We're really excited about that. Hey, look at that. Bomb said he'll take 10.
You're the man,
There we
Robert.
go. There's Robert checking in. One of our faithful. Um,
Give him the
man,
story real quick on Robert. What did he help us with?
Robert actually came up
Oh
with
no.
actually, when we were thinking of this podcast 4 or 5 years ago, we were trying to think of a name that stuck, right? And of course, us being the professional and mature people we are, the first thing we think of is STFU, right?
Yep.
So then it's like, well, how do we, why do we roll football into that? So we kind of fit the name into the acronym. So
Here we
thanks to
are.
Robert. Yeah, and here we are now, right? And we don't even use the acronym anymore, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
What's
because
up,
that's
Chance?
that's how professional we are now. Hey, look at that! Oh, Jimmy, the shirts are done. Uh, but we appreciate that. But we'll more than happily send you some of these bands. That will be no problem. Yeah, we
Some
closed out
bands.
on the shirts last week. Uh, but thank you. And if you know what, if there's enough of a demand, maybe we'll put in another order. Right. So we'll
Definitely.
see. Um, man, there was some stuff I wanted to talk about before we got into everything, and I already forgot.
Did
Um,
you want to touch on the computer projections?
yeah, I guess we can get into that fodder, right? Um, so
That works for me.
today, Greg Tepper from Dave Campbell's Texas Football retweeted or tweeted out today that as of week 6, here is what the Dave Campbell's Texas Football computer projects for each UIL state championship game. That is today. 6A D1, South Lake Carroll versus Galena Park North Shore. 6A D2, Denton Geyer versus Katy. 5A D1, Longview versus Richmond Foster. 5A D2, Argyle versus Fort Bend Marshall. If you guys are Calallen fans, you're very familiar with Fort Bend Marshall. Uh, And I don't mean that in any kind of a jab or anything. They had phenomenal athletes. 4AD1, China Spring versus Corpus Christi, Cal Allen. 4AD2, Carthage versus Cuero. 3AD1, Bushland versus Columbus. Grove, we've been telling you that all season.
Arts.
Hashtag state champs. 3AD2, Gunner versus Newton. 2AD1, this may be a surprise for some of you guys. Hawley versus Timpson. No Shiner, no Refugio in that projection.
So they're taking Region 3 over Region 4 right there because Timpson's the cats that usually either battle off a Shiner or Refugio.
Yep, and if you guys have been keeping up with Timpson this year, they've been kind of blowing up the media circuit. They've got a quarterback out there that is outstanding. 2AD2, Wellington versus Mart. 1AD1, which is essentially your 6A ball, Ranklin versus May, and 1AD2, Benjamin versus Richland Springs. Richland Springs making the news today because they suspended their head coach this last year. The UIL did for recruiting violations, or actually recruiting student athletes, not really recruiting violations. So that does happen. Man, so that'll be pretty interesting. That is as of today, right? Week 6. Things can change, right? Injuries happen, things like that. Yeah, Robert, sorry, no Skidmore Tynan.
No Tynan.
So so that'll be pretty interesting to see how things unfold. Cal Allen, actually, they're rolling, right? You guys have seen what they're doing, and they're playing very well right now. Been hit by the injury bug a little bit. I don't know if they can afford any more injuries.
No.
To be honest with you, none of that magnitude. But they do have that next man up mentality. So who knows, right? Who knows? There's always somebody waiting in the wings, man. But there was something I wanted to talk about before we started, and it was just kind of general BS buffoonery. But man, it'll come to me later, I guess. So let's jump into it, Justin. So our week 5, right? Our little week recap. Some noteworthy issues. Falfurrias, they take their first loss to San Antonio YMLA. Talking to some of our Falfurrias folks, we got a big following of Falfurrias. Actually, we were looking at this new metric today, the last couple of days, and apparently we're big in Indonesia. We're big in Pakistan and India.
I wonder how legit
Apparently,
that is, or if that's just like IP
oh
being.
man, that's probably that spam that you get. Hey, watch this game here, and because
Yeah.
anytime we post something about a game, the spammers show up. I bet you that's what it is. But
We
either
did
way,
have the dude in England one time, though. That was cool. Remember
yeah,
that?
he still follows us.
Really?
Mark Foss, Mark Wright. That's him. Mark, if you're watching again, hey, what's up? Yeah, so they take their first loss, and it was a pretty tight game. The San Antonio team led 3-0 going to the half, and they just eventually took over. They said the kids were pretty big. I watched the 40-second clip they had online from KSAT 12, and they just said that defensive line wore the offensive line down in the second half, and they couldn't keep up. So
Is
and
that one of those preparatory type schools? Is that what that is?
I'm not sure what hey Steven, you're from up there. What is that San Antonio YMLA team? Is that like a prep school, or what is that? We'll wait for your response. Yeah, so they lose 24-6, and like I said, going into that fourth quarter, it was 6-6, and they kind of took over from there. Yeah, so about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I had notes here. I'm looking over it, and I wasn't even paying attention to it. Yeah, 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Foul couldn't keep up. The D line for YMLA it seemed to be the difference in that game. Rockport, Fulton, Flower Bluff. I think we both had Flower Bluff in that one. Okay, it is a prep school. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah.
We both had Flower Bluff.
Took the bluff. I think if you touch back on where we came from coming to that agreement, right? Was I just think the bluff was more tested, right? We know the bluff's good, young team, lots of young talent on that team as well, and they've played some good preseason games, right? They kept within 1 point of a Bernie school, which after watching GP play Bernie, I really think that Bernie team's going to do a lot of great things in their 4A class. And I think they're actually going to be a team that Cal Allen might want to put on their radar coming forward in the playoffs because they got a lot of size and speed, and they have a pretty good quarterback, right? So they played that team very well. So that for me was kind of the measuring stick, what I was going with off of what I thought Flower Bluff would bring to the table, and they did the typical Flower Bluff thing, right? There was nothing that jumped off the page for me. Jaden Paseo, 17, 25, 218, and 4 TDs. I mean, that's a really solid day. But that's something you've kind of come to expect with the bluff. If the run game's not there, they usually have a quarterback that can move the ball kind of precisely down the field. And that's something they did. They took advantage of that Rockport defense that I think we've all agreed upon is just kind of struggling right now, right, to find that just real groove and get going. So, A Cyber on the other end, 1026, 104. I don't think he had any TDs, but Bluff's back in the win column. They're 2-3. Rockport goes to 2-3 as well in the year, and they begin district play this week. So I think Flower Bluff also is on a bye this week. That district's on a bye, or is it like the Flower? Is it like the Corpus district where like GP, Flower Bluff, and these schools around here are on buys?
I didn't look into it that far, but that sounds about right. If Flower Bluff's on the bye this week, GP's on the bye this week, and there are a lot of schools across the state that are on the bye this week. So it's a very big bye week this
Yeah.
week
Hey,
across the
you know
state.
what? Real quick, was that what you wanted to talk about, or you want to expand on the shortage of referees? Since I mean that's kind of where we're getting with like the Thursday games. I think why some of these districts are taking the whole week off. Right? Was that what you were thinking about?
No, that wasn't it. I don't remember what it was, but Latacha, yes, he does. He's a wide receiver over there. He's got great hands, and he's a sophomore. So
Yeah.
him and Jaden are developing that quarterback wide receiver relationship very early. He's a great ball player. I know we featured him on our TikTok with a couple of grabs he made in that Cal Allen game. But keep an eye on him. He's very good. Cameron Dixon, he's very good. Keep an eye on him. Number 9, I
Yeah.
believe.
So that pretty
Um,
much sums that up. I mean, that was the 38-13 win for the Bluff. I think we both kind of came to agreement on that one for sure.
yeah. So next up was Sitton and Lavernia. I think we both had Sitton in this one.
I took I took Sinton. I went
It
one more
was
time with Sinton.
Yeah, it was Sitton at home. And, Sitton hasn't lost a whole lot under Michael Troutman there at home. And this one kind of slipped away from him. I watched the second half of this game, and because Sitton was up 20-0 at one point in the third quarter. And man, just some things happened. Braden Brown went down in the fourth quarter, probably early fourth quarter, and didn't come back in after a quarterback keeper. And the backup came in and didn't do a very bad job. Sitting out gained Lavernia 448 to 307. But just these things happen and they snowball. There was a pick six that Lavernia had. Brown went out in the fourth quarter. There was a trick play touchdown that was blown coverage. Actually, it was a trick play for a touchdown and blown coverage on back-to-back possessions that actually got Lavernia ahead in that game, and they just kind of held on to that lead. It was a shocker. I'm pretty sure the home crowd was surprised. It was a pretty exciting game in the second half,
Yeah.
and it kind of the wheels fell off in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it though, the key bright spots though for Sinton was, Brown was 20-28, 267, two TDs, and then Jacoby James 9 catches for 145 yards. So they're offensively, I think they're getting better. We both said early on that the defense for the Sinton team, it was for me the strong point. Obviously, I think the offense was lacking a little bit compared to the couple of years past. When they were kind of a little more loaded up in the backfield, but that is a bright spot. I 1 point loss, man, that's tough to swallow, especially at home. They bust out the new jumbo screen, right? So
Which looks very nice. Looks very
yeah,
nice.
that's really good. So that's kind of a bummer. They go to 2-3. Lavernia is now 3-2. So Sin's got to start gearing up for a playoff run through district here if they want to keep that momentum rolling.
Yeah, I will say on that sitting defense, Logan DeWald had a heck of a game on the defensive side of the ball, and so did Cooper Dawkins. Very, very large kids for a small 4A school playing on that defensive line there for Sitton. So they played a very good job and a very good game. And like I said, some of these things happen and they snowball and just gets out of control. You got anything else on that one?
No, that was pretty much it for me on the Sinton. I was just curious if it might have been Hanson. Was it Tyler Hanson that came in?
No, it was not Hanson. Man, I meant to write his name down. I didn't write his name down. It was a Hispanic kid.
He was actually battling for that starting job, and he got hurt at the Cuero scrimmage.
In the Cuero scrimmage, yeah.
They're kind of eating up a little bit with injuries too. They've been eating up with that injured bug as well.
Yeah, if there's any Sitton fans that are in here watching, hit us up with that quarterback's name. I can't remember. I guess I could look it up if I need to. But surprises of the week. There was quite a few. The big one that stands out was Orange Grove, San Diego. Orange Grove 27, San Diego 6.
Yeah.
See
it coming.
Yeah, really? I did not either. I thought this game was going to be a shootout. I thought it was going to be very close. But we did get some defensive highlights from an Orange Grove player, and and obviously it's a highlight, right? It's a snapshot in time, but in those 7 highlights, man, I mean, th- the offense really couldn't do very much. Obviously, like I said, it is a highlight. It is an emphasis on the defensive side of the ball. But they had a running back who is also, we'll save that for the highlight reel, but he ran for 284 yards. So it looks like they picked apart that defense with the run game. Oh, Sergio's saying that San Diego quarterback got injured. He heard, not sure what time
Well,
of the game. So that's something to look into. Yeah, we didn't hear a whole lot about it. There wasn't a whole lot of coverage on it. And
I mean, it makes sense. Normally, RJ, they usually send in a lot of the highlights. They usually you know what I mean? They keep us updated with how they did because RJ's been on the show before. So, I mean, that makes sense
yeah,
on, him going down. I mean, he's the key to that offense, right? If San Diego loses RJ, they're in a bind.
yeah, definitely. So that was the one that stood out the most to me so far. Okay, so so Ethan Ortiz, there's our defensive player right there. Went out in the fourth quarter after a couple of hits, so he played the game.
Good job.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys. So Ethan's watching that. Look at that. We're getting the players watching. That's what we want, guys. That we're here to show that we're here to talk about y'all. So we enjoy the interaction and if, like I said, we are a non-fact checking podcast, so we're gonna miss a lot of stuff. So we appreciate you guys filling us in. Yes, Jerry, that is correct. Orange Grove's quarterback is Mark Lopez, formerly of Banquetti, and we went out there the preseason and kind of talked to him, and it was kind of a surprise when we were out there that he was there. I think you can go back to our. Did we do a show? I know we talked about it somewhere.
No, we did not have him on the show, but we've
No,
talked about him.
I think we talked about how we were surprised that he was out there.
Yeah.
Another big one. I've got a clip to share with you guys. It's not a very big school, but however, the Benavides Eagles got their first win in the last 2 years. It was a 36-0 win over Mission Veterans JV squad. Now, you say, okay, it's a JV squad, Benavides has a high school enrollment of 86. Okay, 86 kids go to that high school, not in the senior class, not in the junior class. They are playing with 6-man numbers. So we actually got a few highlights sent in, and this is of their quarterback. And his highlights are here, so I'm not going to spoil anything here. Guillermo, but he goes by Memo Fraga, is their quarterback. Had 139 rushing yards on 3 attempts and 3 touchdowns, for 79 yards and another touchdown. So they had a very good game, and they're very excited. Coach Zubia is he's been there the last couple of years. He's a friend of ours, and this is his first head coaching stop, and he's just trying to get these kids to believe, and things like this are what's going to get them there. Right. So congratulations to the Eagles. We think we'll see a few more wins out of you guys this year. So congratulations. And Kat, our girl over at 22 Photography, does not chime in here, but that is it. Justin Velise, number 18. That was the backup for Sitton that came in. It was not Tyler Henson. And he played a very, very decent game for that quarter. He didn't make any mistakes, didn't turn the ball over. It's just, you get a quarterback in there who's not used because, Henson, I think, was the backup. And you kind of treat him with kid gloves at first, right? You kind of baby him in and baby step him in, and that could be what happened. But congratulations to the Eagles. The next one that we saw, Santa Rosa and George West. Santa Rosa wins that one 14-12.
They kept George West. They kept George West in check. I mean, that was the big one, right?
Yeah.
George West just came off that big win over Mathis. You know what I mean? A lot of stats turned over in that Mathis game, and then I'm looking at this name, Jake Snyder. He was only 6 of 16, 68 passing yards, ran 4 times for 27 yards and a touchdown. So Santa Rosa's defense came to play big time right there and locking George West up. I think that takes the Horns to 1-4 in the year, so they're kind of trying to find themselves a little bit, right?
Yeah, and from what I heard, they were battling a few injuries that game. Santa Rosa now on the flip side of that is 4-1, and we were kind of hesitant on that, right, Justin? Because they were coming to this game 3-1, but they really hadn't played anybody.
Yeah.
Yet nothing, and the one team that they did play that they lost to. right? So we did know how to take them. They're in the valley. So, after doing some of our research, they're actually a very big squad. They have a very big offensive line, which is down there, these valley kids on these offensive line, they send a lot of kids to D1 football. And for a 3A school, a small 3A school, they have a very big offensive line, large tight end. They run the spread, but they like to run out of the spread. And they're saying their running backs are like 6 foot running backs back there, like
Really?
running backs. Yeah. So they have a very strong secondary. Um,
Who do
they
they play
could
this
be
week?
this week. They play Odom. My
Dang.
Owls are going down to the valley, and it could be, man. It could be an 0-6 start, man.
That'd be
I
rough.
was I wasn't going to get into that yet, but yeah. So from what I'm hearing, George West tried to alter their offense to their defensive game plan, and that's usually not the way you want to go about things. If that's the way it went, right? I don't know if I would have done that. I think I would have played my ball game and went forward with it that way. But I mean, I'm not a coach, right? I'm an operator who turns valves, and and I don't fact checked on a podcast. But so that's what happened. They just said George West got real conservative. Down there towards the end, George West had a chance to win it, missed a field goal.
Oh, see, I didn't
Um,
see that. I did not hear
yeah,
that.
yeah. So they had their chances, and it just didn't happen. So that was a surprise there.
I just didn't give Santa Rosa enough credit. Just looking at their schedule, you know what I mean.
Well, we
I
didn't.
thought it was just a combination of playing lesser opponents, and I really did think after watching what George West did to Mathis that they would kind of handle that game a little better.
Yeah,
It just didn't seem to be the case.
and we didn't know. We didn't know what George West or what Santa Rosa is bringing to the table. They're in the Valley, right? And to be fair, those Valley papers don't cover Santa Rosa a lot. Digging, trying to find what they're doing to try to do your research, and there was nothing. There was a little blurb. Hey, they beat Mathis or beat George West, which was essentially it. So watch out for the Warriors, man. They could be a contender for that district championship here in small 3A.
That'd be crazy.
Um,
That would be
the
crazy.
next surprise, it's tale of two halves, right? Beeville and Cuero. If you guys saw the final of that, it was a 82-28, right?
53 points in the second half.
Yeah.
53 points in the second half. I want to put
So
that down.
going into
Yeah.
the half, it was 28-21 Cuero, right? Um, Talking to our guy JR, who was at that game, or he may have not have been at the game. He may have just been watching it. Uh, Shout out JR Castillo. That's our buddy. Uh, I watched the second half because I want to see what's going to happen. I'm not watching these complete games. It's a lot of games to watch, and I got other stuff I got to do.
We had 4 or 5 games up at a non-disclosed location.
Yeah, it looked like a war room with everything that was going on in there. What JR said, is that Cuero's defense had a little trouble in that first half trying to figure out Beeville's offense. If you've seen the way Coach Sosa runs that offense, it's a little tricky, right? But once they adjusted in the second half, Cuero's defense kind of did keep Beeville's offense in check. And, whenever Cuero had the ball, they were just getting to their playmakers, and that speed it was too much. Those kids are fast out there. They're fast and they're very aggressive.
They put up 744 yards of total offense in that game. 744 total yards of offense from Cuero. That is unheard of.
That's a lot, man. That's a
And
lot.
to me, what was strange about that is the fact that the game was relatively close for
Yeah.
the most part. Because I think I want to say what started the third quarter. Maybe it was me. We were sitting there talking, and I was like, man, because I picked Cuero to beat him by like 3 or 4 scores, I think.
I said it was going to be close.
And then I was like, man, dang, I got that one. I was kind of off on that, And the next thing you know, I turn over and you're like, dude, look at this game. And it was like at that point, almost a 30-point spread
Mm-hmm.
out of nowhere. So, that's typical Cuero flexing that athleticism they got as usual. And, their defense came around, right? Sean Burks is having a tremendous year out there at middle linebacker. He's a excellent athlete, excellent recruit. Anyone that sees him play, he did a very good job his first week against Rubino. And so Sean Burks is definitely someone that you should watch out for, and people in the Coastal Men ought to root for him because he's a good kid, and he's just another kid that made the All-State last year as well. So Sean Burks, number 4 from Cuero. I think it's number 4 this year. Anyways,
Yeah, it is 4.
I guess hot outside. He's got a lot of good stuff to offer, and he's playing in a really good program right now.
Yeah, the other kid, I think he's the other linebacker out there, is Brant Patek. Um,
Tech, probably
that yeah, that he's a hell of an athlete too. You put both those guys there in the middle, and it's very hard to move the ball on those guys. So I mean, there's a reason they're projected to go to the state championship by the computers, right?
for sure.
And what does that say about Cal Allen,
I mean,
right?
they're right there. You know what I'm saying? They're right there. So that Region 4 is going to be interesting once it starts unfolding, right? From the 4A D1 spot.
Yeah.
Callan's going to be right there in the thick of it. Like I said, Bernie's going to be in the thick of it. So it's going to be, come playoff time around here. If your team don't make the playoffs, you have something to kind of cheer for and look out for. So keep that one on there. And then go for Cuero. They're part of the Coastal Bend too, and they're
Yeah.
right on the edge of it, but they're part of it. So you know what I mean. Every time they get a chance to represent Region 4, it's exciting as
Yep.
well. So keep Cuero on the list of teams to kind of cheer for as the season progresses.
Yeah, and I think Sergio summed it up best as far as talking Coastal Bend. If they're playing the Coastal Bend All-Star coaches
They're
game,
here.
I mean, they're the Coastal Bend, right?
They're in
I mean,
here.
it sounds fair enough. So that brings us to our game of the week.
That's your
So
team, boy.
I had to do something Monday, and I was actually trying to get the video sent to me, and it wouldn't come through. I guess it was too big. Let me see if it actually showed up now this time. I'm digging through my email here real quick. Let me see if it showed up. If it didn't, that's just
Is this
that's
the
God's
video you
answer.
happen to hand over the trophy?
Yeah, yeah. It's not coming through,
Come
which
on.
is weird because I've sent a lot larger videos to myself, and it's come through. So
Yes,
it did not come
Jerry.
through.
Yes, Jerry. He's catfishing.
So yeah. So, so I can't find it, or I can't. I guess I could show you on my phone, but what good does that do? Um, the back road brawl, right? So we got a trophy, guys. We were very hush about it throughout the week, and because we wanted it to be a surprise, and we wanted folks to get excited about it, but we sponsored a trophy. We came up for a name for a game, and we sponsored a trophy. We kind of stayed away, like I said, from battle, because everything is the battle out here, battle of this, battle of that, and we wanted to do something different, so we went with the back road brawl. Sorry,
Back
and
road.
back road. It just rolls off the tongue. Damn West Virginia and Penn State. But here's our trophy right there, guys. We got a trophy. And Taft broke a 13 game losing streak to Odom in this game. And a very exciting game. If you guys watched, it was on Real Sports Live. Man, Odom, it just second halves, man. It can't finish. I don't know what it is. They're just not. They had a lead going into the fourth quarter in this game, and just mistakes again. These little mistakes keep getting them. They keep getting bit.
You watched it a lot more than I did because I was watching the. I basically watched GP blow the doors off Portland Block, and once that kind of got out of reach, I switched over. I kind of scooted over and started trying to watch the last quarter and a half with you of the Odom and Taft game. And for a long time there, I was convinced Odom was going to win it. It seemed like everything was going in their favor. Every time it seemed like Taft got a little momentum, they would either cough the ball up or something would happen and it would set them back, And then was it Acosta finally busted through? They had that one drive, man, where he just took it down the sideline and
Yeah,
used the size and speed, and they got the lead, and it was like, oh, and there it is. And I still, though, at that point, thought to myself, you know what? Hunter Dawson's had a really good year. He's had a couple mishaps the last couple of weeks. It seems like the same scenario keeps playing out for him, right? He gets down there, and they're within a yard or two of tying the game or winning the game, and it's like they can't punch it in. They can't punch it in. So the script was being set for him, and you have a little better insight on it. The only thing I thought was kind of mesmerizing, just looking at the stat lines, was 500 yards and 4 touchdowns from Acosta and Suarez from Taft. That's
yep,
crazy. And a
yep.
game that honestly I felt like Taft or Odom kind of had more control of for the most part.
They
To
did.
give them 500 total yards to two outstanding athletes like that and still have a pretty good grip on winning. What's
Beat
up,
him
DJ?
on. Sorry,
Yeah, beat Moan.
beat him on checking in.
Texas Longhorn insider. Anyways, yeah. So you can tip your little spill towards the very end of that game with Taft and Nome. It's just the little things I saw right there. I was a little shocked. They went on that deep. They went for the deep shot. You know what I mean? And they had a lot of time left. And I felt like with the way Hunter moves the ball with his legs, he had just did it the play before to keep that drive going. I was a little shocked they took the deep shot with about 40 seconds left in that ball.
50 seconds left. Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it taking the shot downfield, but it was double coverage and it was just wasn't really. I don't think it's Hunter's bread and butter sometimes that deep throw. So it's kind of a tough way to go down right there.
Yeah, and Taft, JJ, and Sean. We work with Sean's mom as well out at our location. So she's very proud of the way they've been, and I think I got messages right away. Hey, we're waiting for you for the trophy. We're waiting. And I went by myself. Nobody was there to go with me. Kat was at a photo session. Justin was at work, so I had to go do this thing by myself. And I told these kids they had a good laugh out of it. I told them I was an Odom guy, and it hurt. It hurt a lot to give that trophy. But they loved it, man. They were excited about it. Coach Castellano was excited about it. So that's good, man. I mean, mission accomplished on our end, right?
They'll bring it back. We'll get it back next year, and it's one of those things where Odom has a chance to put it back in their trophy case, right? Or Taft can take it back home. So that's going to be fun, and it'll be interesting to keep up with. But I would have paid some good money though to watch you walk in there in the big city of Taft and present that trophy to those kids though.
Yeah,
you wear Taft gear had they won to present it.
I don't have anybody to make a bet like that with though, man. I did that a couple of years ago with during COVID. We had to pick up games, and I'm friends with a board member, the board president up at Natalia, and we picked up a game with Natalia. And man, I don't think we had played them since the Odom semifinal year in the playoffs when we lost to Corrigan Camden. But I made a bet with him. It was a jersey bet. I had to wear if Natalia won, I had to wear a Natalia football jersey to my board meeting, and vice versa. And Natalia got the best of us that game, and so I had to sit through our board meeting with the Natalia football jersey on. So I'm good for my bets, right? I'm good for it, but I don't know if I'll make those anymore.
I got Ganado. I got Ganado.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. No, Kat. There she is. No, yes. Kat. I'm not taking those. I'm not making bets anymore. You have no board meeting to go to wear a jersey, Kat.
Every single year, she can do a whole game in the previous team's jersey or shirt at Taft. That would be a good one.
So we started the tradition. So that's good, right? So hopefully that keeps up long after we go that far. Prediction on Somerset and Antonian. Antonian's one of those schools that they can kind of openly recruit, right? It's a private school in San Antonio. I don't know too much about them this year. I know what Somerset brings to the table.
Somerset just because.
Yeah, me too. Just because, right? I don't know anybody from Antonian. They're not following us. We got some followers in Somerset. Let's go Dogs. And Strunky's there, right? So Strunky's there. So we really got an M there, right? So, hey, Holland's there. That's a great game. That's what he's saying. So Brandon Holland, another guy up in San Antonio who's our San Antonio plug. A lot of good information. If you're not following along the wire on Twitter, a lot of good information on there. He's always doing the Twitter spaces in there. Jump in there and jump in that guy's mind.
Big Longhorn guy.
Yeah, big Longhorn UTSA guy. All right, so I think that's it. You got anything else you want to copy on or jump on from last week?
That was it. That kind of takes us right into the little helmet stickers. Actually, I do want to say one quick thing. Okay. Miller blowing the doors open on Ray, right? That was big. That was one of the games we had as a noteworthy game, right? Hall of Fame game, and they're still running the 2 quarterback system, but there was a lot of good things I think that Miller did. Is obviously you got to touch on it. That was one of our games. So Miller continuing to impress.
Yeah, and just what we thought was going to happen. They I don't know if Ray kept it close for a while, but I mean they were. I mean
they shocked me. They got 17 on the board.
Yeah. Now, Mike was very upset. We work with this guy, Mike, who's his kids go to Ray, and he was all excited about that game. And I think midway through the first quarter, he kind of stopped watching and just kind of went about his own thing. Hey, what are you doing? All right, so without further ado, All right. Our helmet sticker segment brought to you by 97 Sports Promotions. If you are in the market for a new logo design, a new helmet, a new decal vendor, hit up our friend Doug over at 97 Sports Promotions. He will take care of you. Again, they do mini helmets as a great fundraiser, banquet gifts. Reach out to him. Very good pricing. Did not really take the COVID hit too hard. So he's very reasonable prices. Doug will take care of you at 97 Sports Promotions.
Good guy.
So we've got a few highlights and a lot of repeat offenders this week, right, Justin?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I mean, this is one of the things, man. You send the stuff in, the tape looks good. We're gonna put you on here, and it's the dudes that kind of stuck out a little bit for the week. I mean, that's the segment, so roll it.
Yep, let's bring it up real quick. Let me share my screen here a little bit, and we will go. I think we're gonna have sound on this, so you should be able to hear us. Just as
a little choppy, just on the audio coming through. I'm not sure if that's you just trying to load the video or not, but just heads up on that.
Okay.
There we go.
Here's our first repeat offender, Kellen Brown from Refugio. He only played a half. I think most of his stats came in the first quarter. This game was out of control after the first quarter. I think they scored 48 points in the first half. Excellent little grab there by King coming out of the backfield. I mean, some of these could be multiple player highlights on this one,
Yeah, for sure.
Refugio having a big game coming up this week against Three Rivers, 5-0 versus 4-1.
Yeah, that's the game of the week. There he is.
I don't know if you can see, that's Colton Harrison from Gregory Portland, 181 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin, what was the final in this game?
Test me. 49-14. We check.
I can't see my comments right now, Justin, so you have to read the comments to me.
Okay. I got a lot of feedback. I'm trying to talk as me. 41-22.
Seems like it was a lot higher than that.
Yeah.
So Colton, this kind of surprised me. He's playing on the defensive side as well.
He does a good job on Sutton. Very athletic. I mean, he's just athletic.
Skylar Ruba, if you guys hadn't heard that name very much this year, 1 punt return touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 pick six, 160 all-purpose yards, and 2 touchdowns. I like the way this guy moves. He's very shifty. And I get caught up on leg movement, right? And his leg movement is very reminiscent to me of Jordan Shipley.
Jordan Shipley?
Yeah.
That's a good comparison. David is running. I'm just curious. Nice. Definitely bright comes off offense.
Here's Ethan Ortiz, defensive end outside linebacker from Orange Grove. 5 solo tackles, 4 assists, and a sack. Very nice day of work. I was telling Justin earlier, I like the way he pursues down the line when the ball's going away from him. I think we just saw that on the last play.
Works way down. Really good.
Yep,
Really good.
that's very good technique.
Those dudes are top, man. You're gonna get blocked. You just got to cheer and on. You're 15 yards downfield. Wondering what happened. Nice.
And we got a hog molly here in this one. Eddie Kokoda, right tackle of CC Vets. Ended up with 4 pancakes this game against Moody.
Number 64, right?
Yeah, number 64. Justin, you're an offensive lineman. I mean, or were an offensive lineman.
He's got good technique down there. He gets low, move quickly, stand up. Exactly what he's supposed to do. Lock him up in his feet. Solid play. Watch this guy down right there. Good move. Good job of getting the next.
Khalid Goldsby, defensive end, Gregory Portland, 5 tackles, 1 sack, 1 blocked field goal, 1 blocked punt.
He's a monster.
Yep, number 21. Number 21 on the jersey, number 1 in your hearts.
There you go.
Opposite end of the field, and catches up to the guy and makes the play.
He's got really good. He's one of those dudes that watch him and he can impact the game or how the other team is going. So if you get it, they lean on pretty to get pressure off back to the school team. He's got good support around him.
Everybody's favorite, right? Bryce Burnett, 214 passing yards, 2 touchdowns in probably a half of football.
They pulled him out on the half.
That's what I think. I think this was it was like 40-something to 7 maybe in this game.
Makes sense. Players.
Yeah, and a lot of these, I mean, there goes to Skyler. We saw that highlight earlier.
A lot of stuff.
You know, I like to see the passing game coming out of the Wildcats, man. I like it.
I've said for a long time. They've always had athletes. They've always had pretty quarterbacks. I mean, when they have Ryan Duke, change things they thought, and a lot of success. You know, I mean, Coach Campbell's some Burnett, and play you're more shot at him. More versatile.
Here's last week's my helmet sticker award winner. Again, 2 punt return touchdowns and the receiving touchdown.
We watched him, man. He's not getting him all day. So That's the dude right there.
Yep. Yeah, we when we
Lay
awarded the
lays.
sticker last week, we were out at their practice, and he's a heck of an athlete, man.
Very good athlete.
You know, we kind of talked about it before the show, but you know, TM could be undefeated in district by the time they play against Cal Allen. You know, they've got two of the top defenses in the state. I think Cal Allen's 4 and Toledo Midway 6, but TM will face Alice the week before they play Cal Allen, so that should be an interesting game as well.
Big time.
And then here's Reed Dooms, right? The sensational sophomore we've been hearing about all season.
Yep. He's having a heck of a year. He's making throws, man. The veteran juniors and seniors sometimes struggle.
Yeah, there's. I think it's on this next play right here where he splits the safeties here. I mean, just puts the ball in a very nice spot. Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah, it's down here. Red safe really well.
And then I cut it off too soon. I think I did it on accident, but there's another one. He does another one in the almost the exact same spot where it's even closer than that.
Yeah. He's made a lot of more in the games I watched play and then on TV when I watched it. Made a lot of big plays. Definitely something.
We got one highlight here, but like I said, this is probably the telltale that tells you how Orange Grove won this game. 284 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
Couldn't get him, man.
And let's close that. Those are our helmet stickers for the week.
Yep.
All right, so who do you got, Justin?
I'll let you lead off.
Man, right now, you know, we've got a lot of stickers, and last week was our first week. I think I'm going to go with 2 players this week. My first one's going to go to Skylar Rubio from Cal Allen. Had a heck of a game on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And I'm going to give my other to Orange Grove's defensive end, Ethan Ortiz. Congratulations, boys. No, AC, we didn't get any highlights, man.
We got to get the highlights, AC.
We got to get the highlights, man. That's why we stress it. Send them in. Send them in. That's the whole point of the helmet sticker segment, man. We're showcasing these kids. What they put out was what they put out. And believe it or not, he didn't have a week highlight. He had his season highlights, and that's too much. We can't pull from that. It takes a lot, Sergio. It takes a lot, man. So Skylar Rubio and Ethan Ortiz. Thank you, guys. I mean, with that, thank you for sending your stuff in, and congratulations. Justin, who do you got?
Man, I'm going to go ahead and go with Kokoda as our first offensive lineman. I respect it. 4 pancakes in the game. That's good work. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Reed Dooms.
Reed Dooms.
Splitting the safeties. That was the most impressive throw of the week for me. So Reed Dooms and Kokoda.
Guys, send us your information. If we can't make it to your practice, we'll definitely get it in the mail and get it out to you. Obviously, we'd like to make it to the practice. It was really cool going out to Toledo Midway last week and presenting it. Yeah, man, we'd love to get out to your practice and do it. Hopefully, with your coaches, it's okay. Because a lot of coaches don't like them, right? They don't wear them. They like the helmets to be uniform. But it should be good, man. It was good. And that leads us to our game of the week, right? Week 6. Yep. So our game of the week this week is, and I'm pretty sure it's everybody's game of the week this week, is Refugio and Three Rivers. We kind of mentioned that already, right? So don't know a whole lot about Three Rivers team because there's not a lot of coverage out there, man. There just isn't. So just based on what we're seeing, I'm just gonna have to go with Refugio on this one. Just sight unseen.
I got Refugio as well, no doubt. I think they got it going in the right direction right now. 4-1. Three Rivers, I think, might actually give them a little bit of a contest in the first half of it, but I'd take Rafiro to pull away in this one. We know Coach Aaron. We know what he brings to the table. He's got good coaching and good game plans. I think they're going to do a really good job of bringing it to Three Rivers this week. And that's not disrespect to Three Rivers.
Nope,
That's just the power that Rafiro brings.
nope. And we'll be there. We'll be there since it's our game of the week. We'll be out there Friday, and hopefully we'll be there for a whole game. We're planning on staying for the half. We'll see what happens. If it's a tight ball game, we may stay for the whole game. We'll see, right? So that takes us to our week 6 interesting games. All right, so now Thursday night. So there's a couple Thursday night games. You got Miller and Victoria East, which will be on the CW. I think that's the Thomas J. Henry game of the week for Channel 6. So I think that will be televised. I could be mistaken, but I think it is. And Lyford and Bishop, right? So Bishop's kind of been up and down based on what we're seeing so far from them this season. They started out pretty strong and they've lost a couple games as of late. Lyford, very strong team and a contender for that big 3A crown in the district against San Diego and whatnot. Okay, it is televised. Thank you, David. We'll get out there Thursday night, catch a half of that ball game, and get a look at Osmar Martinez and company coming up from the Rio Grande Valley and see what they have to offer. Right now, personally, I get a team that I get attached to during the season, usually out of the area. A couple years ago, it was Windthorst. Remember, we had that Panhandle update with Windthorst. This year, I'm kind of fixating my stuff on Lyford this year. I like what they've got. I like what they're doing. They're a spread team that runs an up-tempo spread, and but they run out of it mostly, and they can throw if they need to, and they got that those set of twins back there. So I'm anxious to see these guys on Thursday night and see what they bring. So if you guys are out there, if they got any Bishop or Lyford fans that are out there, say hi, man. We'll be out there probably straight out of work. May go to the cop's house and shower at his house, but we'll see what happens before we head out. Or we may show up in our clown suit.
I think we're welcome there.
Yeah, we'll see. Justin, you got anything on Lyford Bishop?
Not really, man. I think it's going to be a pretty good game, though.
Okay, next up, Raymondville and Sinton. What do you got on that one?
I'm taking Sinton in this one, man. I think they rebound pretty well in this one. Raymondville's coming off a big loss to Ingleside last week. I think Ingleside's a team to be keeping an eye on. Ingleside's looking pretty good. Got an explosive offense. But I think Sinton's going to rebound nicely and get themselves back in the one column this week as well.
I think so too. I'm anxious to see what's going on with Brown. I don't think it was very serious. The 364 guys were saying he had his helmet and stuff back on there late in the game. I hadn't heard anything in the sewing circle that I'm usually hanging around there and sitting. Hadn't heard anything about it yet. So we'll see what happens. See if he's back out there. But I'm with you. I don't think Sinton loses twice at home. I think it is at home. I don't think they lose back-to-back games at home. The next, another RGV matchup, a district matchup, Tolosa Midway and LaFeria. LaFeria isn't the LaFeria of old, in my opinion. When they were making those deep playoff runs, I think they're in a dry spot right now. TM's hot, man. They are very hot. And,
I'm sticking with the hot man.
I am too. But, we saw something that was very interesting at that practice last week. And we forgot. We forgot that this happened last year. And, man, it is paying off, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, the defense is holding people to about 9 points a game, and the offense is putting up 30, but the defense holding nine people to 9 points a game is our old friend DC at Veterans Memorial that's slid on over to TM right now. He's doing a really good job with that defense over there in Tolosa Midway.
Yep. Yeah. And he remembered us, which was cool. Right. So, man, he's doing great things with that defense down there. And it clicked, right? When we saw him, we're like, oh, yeah.
That's exactly who that was. He was actually doing a really good job running that practice. The head coach kind of stepped out of the way and was letting him. I think he's second in charge over there, so he was kind of leading it and taking control. And that would be a good key to why I think they're having some good success. They added another really good coach to that coaching staff over there to help them out.
Yep. And then we've kind of touched on it already, Victoria East and Miller, right? You saw the Victoria East team.
I think Vic East lost their quarterback, right? And the quarterback is pretty much the entire team because he's very elusive and he's a big kid. But I want to say he went down last week with a leg injury. So if that's the case, it's gonna hamper them a lot. They have a lot of athletes, but he's the main guy, right? The offense runs through him. So if he's not in it, they're gonna have a hard time moving the ball. And I just Obviously, I think with what Miller's putting on the field right now offensively, they're gonna score at will, and then with that guy down, I think it's just gonna play right into the defense of Miller's hands. You know what I mean? So the athletes in the secondary are gonna cover whatever Victoria East is running out there. So I think this is gonna be a big win for Miller Bucks.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm with you on that. And it just sets one more week for that Thursday night matchup with Veterans Memorial. Now,
Yep,
they're not
that's the
allowed to
big
look
one.
ahead. We can look ahead all we want, right?
Yep.
Well, they can't look ahead 1-0 for them every week, but we can look ahead and we think that's going to be the next one. Then the last game we've got is Mathis at Vanderbilt Industrial. Um, Industrial, I think they beat Ganado Palacios last week.
No, Mathis came off the disappointing loss to
That's
Palacios
right.
last week. In Industrial, I'm not sure
Did they
who they
beat
beat last week, but they
Goliad?
are 4-1. Was it Goliad last week?
I'm gonna
What
look.
else?
Keep talking. I'm gonna look.
No, it was either way. To me, it's like the thing with the thing with Mathis is real quick. The bright spot is Ethan Ibarra, right, running the ball.
Yep,
He's the
having a
bright spot,
fantastic year.
having a great year. Huge loss though to Palacios. It just seems like every year they kind of set themselves back, man. They get going, and they set themselves back, and had 2 good wins. Now they've back-to-back losses, and it's kind of starting to snowball again for Mathis. So, and I don't think this week gets any easier for them. I think Industrial is going to handle them by a couple scores.
Yep.
They're a good squad. They're 4-1. They played some good teams, and they put some good stuff on the field so far this year. So I think this is a kind of a bad week for Mathis, if you're a Pirate fan, especially. So look for Industrial to take that game, in my opinion.
And it was Goliad. They beat them 23-22.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So very strong Goliad team if you're who you're talking to, right? So it could be taking jabs at Sergio. Sergio finally makes
Well, yeah.
sense. Wow. Hey Ryan, how's it going? And so if you guys voted, and dude, we are so glad we brought this thing back. It's bringing the interaction back. Our player of the week, man, this one was very, very close. Both polls were identical. So, guys, just as a reminder, we are running this poll on 2 spots. We're running it on Twitter and we're running it on Facebook, so you can vote on each one. But do not forget, I think some people got confused last week because on the Facebook poll, Burnett was leading by a heavy margin, but on the Twitter poll, Valerio was leading by a heavy margin, and it blew it out of the water. So the Callum folks were asking about how come Burnett didn't win? He was leading. Oh, it was on both spots, and we put that in the post that it's in both locations. So make sure you read through that post all the way. And if you don't read it, we're letting you know now that it is in 2 spots. Whenever we put this poll up, it'll be on Twitter and it'll be on Facebook, and we combine the results for that because some people don't have Facebook and some people don't have Twitter. But our player of the week is. You guys ready? Cutter Stewart. A heck of a game. Yeah, it was very close. I think both polls were like 37% to 36%. Cutter had an outstanding night on Friday. Justin, do you have those numbers on you?
I don't have the numbers on me, man, but he was up for Mr. Texas Football of the Week. He won the Caller Times Player of the Week. Very deserving young man. He's been around the last couple of years. We've covered him. We've had him on here. He's a good kid, and hey, get out there and vote for your kids, man. This is huge. Share it all over Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Whatever you can do, get out there and vote. And our voting system's kind of cool, man. You get 1 vote. That's it.
Yeah, you can't. It's not like everybody else where you can flood it or get a bot.
So we kind of take some pride in that a little bit. I feel like it's a little more genuine sometimes. And hey, get out there and vote for your guys. That way you can get them up here, and we can kind of highlight your team and highlight your kids.
Yep. Hey, one of the things I remember what I want to talk about now that you say that. Every week we have had, almost every week, maybe except one, we've had a representative from the Coastal Bend up for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week award. This week we had 2. We had Cutter Stewart and Elijah Huff. Again, I think this is his repeat performance on there. He won the Built for Tough Player of the Week after week 2, I think. He had another big game, another 300-something yard game. And, Matt McHugh commented on there, what's with this? South Texas doesn't have any talent. We're on this board every week. And he's right, man. He's right. Maybe folks are finally starting to take notice of what our kids can do down here.
Yep.
And I hope we have a small part in that. That was our whole goal of starting this thing, was to get more exposure for our kids. I think this highlight section reel really helps. We're putting their numbers up, we're putting their names up. People can see these kids actually play. So we hope that helps, man. I mean, that's the goal. Oh, look at that. Huff's eyeing DeAndre Fillmore's record. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks it, AC.
Boy, he's getting close.
That was the other thing. Now that you mentioned that. So we joined this new group on Facebook today that Stephen Floyd, who is a long time Cal Allen booster friend, Cal Allenite, Cal Allen head, whatever you want to call it, he started an all South Texas football team group where they essentially, from the start of these all South Texas teams, I mean, he's been posting a whole lot recently, and man, it's very interesting to go back and look at some of these teams. Like, here's the 93 team, and just, man, if you go back to 72, South Texas was South Texas. There were people from the RGV on this team with the Corpus teams and up to, I think, even maybe Victoria. But it's actually pretty neat, man.
Doing that.
Yeah, so actually, I was scanning through this earlier. I think it was the 1990 team. Can you see this, Justin? Is up on the screen?
It's kind of hard. I kind of gotta zoom in on it.
Okay, just go to it, check it out. It's called the All South Texas Football Teams, 1972 to 2021. There's a lot of names on there that you're seeing on sidelines right now, which is actually pretty cool. And I saw Jay Centerfit's name on there as a defensive end. Jay Centerfit, father of former Vets quarterback Carter Centerfit. So, and we talked to Jay a lot. Jay's moved on to the Hill Country now. But it's actually pretty neat. And so go check it out. Join this group. If you're a football light or football nerd like we are, it's actually pretty neat to go back and see some of these kids. Dat wins on there. Some of you sitting guys, Eric Garza is on there as a kick returner. Man, back in those 90s teams with Gary Davenport there as a head coach. I think he was the head coach back then and sitting when he was sitting on those deep runs. He was a household name that you heard of a lot. He was their kind of do everything. Their kicker, running back, kick returner, punt returner. He kind of did everything. He was only like 5'5", 5'6", little guy. But guys, thanks for tuning in this week. We gained a couple more eye watchers here. We kind of dipped out there a little bit. Thanks for watching again this week, guys. We will be back next week. When do we go back to work, Justin? Wednesday?
Yes.
We go back to work Wednesday night.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We go back to work Thursday night.
Thursday night. Okay, so we will be able to do a Wednesday night show again next week. We will not have to do a daylight show. So we'll be back next week, next Wednesday about 8 o'clock. And guys, bring your questions, bring your comments, send those highlights in. And please, if you send them in as 1 and 2s. Don't send the whole huddle clip, because that's why we had a 10-minute video today. Share them 1 to 2 clips out of your game. Send them in. Parents, do the same thing if your kids don't want to do it. We still haven't received any of those TikTok challenge that we put out to the linemen. Guys, we got something coming for you. And you players of the week winners, we have something coming for you. Won't be till the end of the season when we hand them out, but we have something coming for you guys as well. Guys, again,
buy the bands.
Yes, buy the bands. We'll put those out again on our group and on our Facebook page. Get the bands. We'll carry them at the games with us. If you guys want to hit us up at the games, we'll have them there too. Guys, again, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.